What's up, everybody? It is the Primetime Preview here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K here with you for episode number 3. It's another Friday where I and Ricky K have the remote control. And I'm telling you what to look forward to this weekend in the world of professional sports. Of course, it all starts tonight. Game 4 of the NBA Finals, Thunder and Pacers. Pacers up 2-1. Thunder don't go down too easily. Why one big man in Thunder better start finding a 3-point shot, or it could be curtains for OKC. We'll talk Stanley Cup Finals, Game 5 tomorrow. Best of 3 now between the Panthers and the Royals. This has been crazy. Comebacks galore, overtime winners. But one star has yet to score in this series, and I think he is going to have a mammoth Game 5 tomorrow. We will talk FIFA Club World Cup with Jess from Shin Pads and Shank, and she is going to join us. We're going to look ahead to that matchup as well. That should be a lot of fun going on with that MLS European clubs. We've got the event. We have our top 5 baseball series of the weekend. We'll talk College World Series. Coastal got a big win today. Can the Shanta Clears for another great run of the title? And why you should look forward to LSU and Arkansas tomorrow night in Omaha. Gold Cup's in action. I'm not looking forward to it because nobody really else is. U.S. Open in Oakmont, the top golfers are struggling. We'll talk WNBA. Caitlin Clark's back. We'll talk UFL title. There's a football title game we got to preview. We'll talk about the world in racing. And a good matchup in MLS. Western Conference starting to heat up. There's some great matchups every week. But let me know what you're watching here in the chat with Remote Control. It's all coming next in the Primetime Preview here at IE Sports Radio. Direct feed for all the sports. We'll see you. And what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Primetime Preview here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. We've got a great lineup of shows this week, so we are the end to your week as we look ahead to the weekend in sports, what to watch. I'm the remote control, but I want to hear what's on your sports TV guide this weekend. We're going to talk all things professional sports going on. It's our grand finale of the week. I want to remind you where you can follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Be sure to like and subscribe. We always appreciate the subscribers. Feel free to comment. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X. Send your comments throughout the show about what you're looking forward to this week, or you can follow me on X at Rickinator555 if you'd like to send it to me personally as well. We have a lively chat actually here to start the show. Our great founder of the station, Larry B, is in the house. Welcome, Larry. Ralph Calise, our IE Sports Radio Pittsburgh insider. We're going to talk some golf going on in Pittsburgh. The U.S. Open is wreaking havoc on all the top golfers in the world, and it's a weird-looking leaderboard as we speak. We'll get to that toward the end of the show. Brian Francione, the IE Sports Radio New England insider, is here. Red Sox Yankees this weekend in Fenway Park. We'll talk about that. Taryn Rodriguez is here. Of course, Dodgers Giants this week, UCLA College World Series. He's got a lot going on in SoCal area, especially we got some LAFC FIFA Club World Cup this week, which should be a lot of fun as well. So let's get things started. Let's talk Thunder Pacers first. Game 4 tonight, 8:30 on ABC. Pacers lead the series 2-1, and really the Thunder let an opportunity slip away in Game 3. They seem to have had control through 3 quarters, and Indiana finds a way in the 4th quarter to flip the script, and they were the better defensive team, which to me was the real surprise, because you would think the Pacers would be the ones to give up more points, and they end up outscoring OKC 32-18 in the 4th after the Thunder had nearly 30 points in the 3rd quarter. So when I look at how the Thunder are going to mount a comeback, and I think they will. You look at this series, Indiana had the miracle Game 1 win. OKC responded in Game 2. Indiana comes from behind to win in the 4th quarter in Game 3. I kind of think OKC's got one more run in them because, look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's been great. He had a down game in Game 3 and still went for 24 points and 8 boards. You'd think he's going to get 30 tonight. That's just the way it goes. And it's not like Oklahoma City hasn't had the supporting cast when we talk about who's going to step up to support Shy. Jalen Williams had a great game, 26 points. Chet Holmgren had 20 points and 10 boards. Not a bad game overall. And OKC dominated the rebounding edge. They had so many turnovers. Like, that is not indicative of a Mark Daniel coach team. 19 turnovers. And the Pacers defense, which has really gone underreported because of how good their offense has really been the key. So obviously they're not going to get a lot of scoring OKC's really from three guys. They do get 7 or 8 from Lou Dort. Case and Wallace might get to a few. We haven't really seen Hartenstein step up the way I think Oklahoma City fans want. But my player on the hot seat this week, we're going to try to look at players who are on the hot seat going into the weekend, is Chet Holmgren. Now, why do I say that about Chet Holmgren? Because you could say, Ricky, he had a double-double in Game 3. Why are you being hard on him for? Look at his three-point percentage in this series. He is 1 for 10 from beyond the arc in 3 games. And what did we see from the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals that kind of could be a blueprint to beat Indiana? Get in the paint, get to the free throw line. When Chet Holmgren gets to the free throw line in this series, he's 12 for 13. So if you're not making your threes, and against the Timberwolves, he was hitting his 3-point shots. He had multiple threes in the last 2 games of that series. He was 4 for 8 from beyond the arc. If you're not going to hit your threes, get to the line. Be aggressive. Get in the paint. That's got to be the key for him. He went 0 for 6, as I mentioned, in Game 3. He was 1 for 4 in the prior 2 games. Because even though Oklahoma City, when you look at this series, these games have been around 110, 115 points each. So it's no surprise that you're going to get one of those 120, 110 kind of games. That's just the way it goes, which I think doesn't help Oklahoma City because Indiana wants that high-paced game. And you look at the Pacers right now, they've just got more options. Between Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathern, TJ McConnell, they have more players that can score. If you look at Game 3 for the Pacers, there was just so many players that contributed. Whether Siakam with 21, you had Mathern with 27, McConnell with 10. This is on a night where Nesmith gets 7 points, Miles Turner only gets 9 points, and the Pacers still score almost 120. That's got to be a tough blueprint for Oklahoma City to swallow for a team that's very good defensively. And the Pacers only hit 9 threes. Indiana is known for usually hitting like 12 to 15 3-pointers. And Indiana still shoots 52%. That's a problem. Problem on multiple levels for Oklahoma City. So my prediction, I still am going to go with the Thunder. And you might think I'm crazy. You might say I'm sick of seeing Reggie Miller with an Indiana Pacers jersey and a sweatshirt watching these games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I don't care. I'm going to Oklahoma City in this series. I think Shai's the best player. And that's not a diss on Tyrese Halliburton. That is not a diss on anybody on that team. They're a great team. I think they've gone underappreciated nationally. But I think you look at Oklahoma City, there's just more depth there. When you've got Shai, you've got Jalen Williams, you've got Chet Holmgren, they just got to get scoring from somewhere, whether it's Dort, whether it's somebody else on that team. They're going to have to find a way to make an impact. But I think Oklahoma City is going to be just fine going into tonight. I think to even it up. Game 5 is Monday, which, by the way, doesn't make sense because I want to see – I never like 2 games in between or 2 days in between games. To me, that's stupid. I know they do it for TV, and I know that, but like I want right back in the action. Let's go. I know they got to travel and stuff because Game 5 is in Oklahoma City, but can we get a better outcome than that? We shall see. But it should be a fun series. What's been very fun is out in the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 5, Panthers-Oilers. That's tomorrow, 8 p.m. on TNT. Edmonton coming off a historic comeback. Panthers had a 3-goal lead. Skinner gets pulled for the 2nd game in a row. And Edmonton finds a way to pull off a comeback, something we haven't seen since 1919. Like, that is amazing in itself. Draisaitl, another classic goal in overtime, and he has been money for this team. We talked about it last week. But the guy under the microscope for me, and he hasn't even had a bad series, is Connor McDavid. You look at Connor McDavid, that's the star. That's the player everybody's looking forward to seeing. Crosby's got his cup. Ovechkin's got his cup. Now it's time for Connor McDavid to get his Stanley Cup. And McDavid in this series does have 6 points. But with all the goals that have been scored, he doesn't have 1. That's to me, if you told me that Edmonton was going to score like outside of Game 3 when Florida dominated 6-1, it's been 7, 8, 9 combined goals in these games. And McDavid hasn't scored one time. I think that's going to change in a big way. I think he's going to score 2. That's my prediction for this weekend is Connor McDavid's going to score 2 goals, and Edmonton's going to win Game 5 at home. I just like that he is going to, I think, have that make or break game. And remember, he was the Conn Smythe winner last year when they lost. I think you can't go 7 games without holding Connor McDavid down. That's going to be really tough to do. So I like Edmonton in that one. The question is going to be who should start in net. I think it should be Pickard. I think once you pull your goalie back-to-back games, at that point, you've got to stick with the hot hand. And especially with best 2 out of 3. If Pickard's struggling, you can always go back to Skinner. But to me, I think you look at the Oilers right now, that's the player I would go with. So Edmonton, I think, should make a change there. Florida's not going to make any changes. And the reason is they've got that championship grit. They know they've got guys like Bennett and Reinhart and Barkov and Tkachuk. They're going to find a way to keep getting their production. I think that's one thing you look at from Florida is they've shown resilience in this series as well. They've been down in these games. Corey Perry gets a game-tying goal in Game 2. They win the game in overtime thanks to Brad Marchand. You look at this series as a whole right now through 4 games. You got the Oilers scoring 14 goals. The Panthers have scored 18 goals. So we've had 32 combined goals into 4 games so far. I think we're going to continue to see that outcome because both these teams have depth. Both these teams have guys who can score. Both these teams have guys that take advantage of the power play. I think we have that going on here. So prediction to me for the Stanley Cup, because next time we'll be back, this series will actually, it might not be over. If this goes 7, which I think it will, we'll lead the primetime preview next week with Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and that's my prediction. We're gonna have a Game 7 that we're gonna be talking about next Friday on this show, 6 p.m. Eastern. Who knows? Maybe we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of this Game 7. But I think this series has been too good not to get to that point. Looking at the world of baseball, and we're going to give you my top 5 series of the week. There's a lot of good series in baseball. It's really tough to really narrow it down to 5. Like, I looked around the league, and to me, there's a lot of interesting ones. I'll give you ones I'm not watching first. I think that's probably maybe fair. You never watch a series that involves the Rockies. I know they walked off the Giants the other day, but they're playing the Braves. Braves have been reeling. To me, when you look at Colorado with 13 wins, tough to watch them play at all. So to me, I think you look at the Rockies, that's a little bit of concern. I won't watch that. A's against Royals. A's have been bad, and the Royals can't score. So that, to me, tough watch, not putting on my TV. The other one, probably White Sox Rangers. Rangers have started to score runs, but the White Sox aren't any good. So that's off my screen. So that's the 3 I'm not watching. Now, if we go 5 to 1, number 5, I'm going to go Cardinals Brewers. Good divisional rivalry here in the Central. And right now, the Brewers and Cardinals basically have identical records. St. Louis was red hot going into June. They've now lost 7 of their last 10. Milwaukee has been having to deal with the injuries to Christian Yelich. But they're right around that point. And if we start looking at wild cards, which we do, we get toward the All-Star break, which, believe it or not, we're only a month away from that. Right now, these 2 teams are 3 games out of a playoff spot. So right now, it's still looking like only 1 team from the Central is getting in. And we'll see if the Cardinals and Brewers beat each other up to the point where the Cubs can just continue to build the league. Cubs have a 5-game lead in the Central, despite losing today to Paul Skeens and the Pirates in extra innings. So to me, that's number 5. Number 4, and I talked about those rivalries dead last week. Still stand by that, is Yankees-Red Sox. Now, the Red Sox took 2 out of 3. I give them a lot of credit. They scored over 20 runs in 3 games. Yankees scored over 20 runs as well, but they couldn't find a way to pitch. And Yankees have bounced back in a big way. They swept Kansas City this past week. Aaron Judge continues to hit home runs. He got 25 before Father's Day, which is crazy. And there is some drama into this because you got the whole stuff with Hunter Dobbins, who says he wouldn't want to play for anybody but the Yankees. He'd play for anybody but the Yankees. Yankees are throwing their top 2 guys, Rodon Saturday, Fried on Sunday. You do have the Red Sox appeal of Roman Anthony playing in his first Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, and you kind of do like the Boston now as this trio of young guys in Anthony, Christian Campbell, and Marcelo Mayer to build around. Plus, it kind of we'll see if the Yankees do decide to bring back Giancarlo Stanton this weekend, who's been rehabbing in Double-A Somerset. Stanton would bring a new wrinkle to the Yankee lineup. We'd see how Aaron Boone tends to use Ben Rice, if he's going to hit him as a backup catcher, or if he's going to use him at first and give Goldschmidt a couple days off. That's going to be interesting. But Yankees-Red Sox is up there because Boston played well enough last week in the Bronx to put it up there. Number 3, going to be Rays-Mets. And you might say, Ricky, why are you watching Rays-Mets? Well, this is actually a pretty good series. Tampa's 36-32. They've won 6 out of 10. And I'm interested to see how they play away from Steinbrenner Field. This season, they played 25 games away from Florida. They're 13-12. They're 23-20 at home. So we don't see the Rays play a lot of road games. It's going to be a real interesting test for them. The Mets, meanwhile, are 45-24. They are 27-7 at Citi Field, coming off sweeping the Washington Nationals. Now, Cordes Senga did go on the IL. That's their ace with a hamstring strain. We'll see how long he's out. But a good matchup tonight. Taj Bradley against Clay Holmes. That's at 7:10. Drew Rasmussen and Tyler McGill tomorrow. And then on Sunday, Shane Baz and Griffin Canning. So you got, I think, three pretty solid matchups there. We'll see how it plays out. Number 2, it's a rematch of Joe Carter in the 1993 World Series. It's Blue Jays-Phillies. Blue Jays and Phillies are both second in their respective divisions. Blue Jays are 38-30, 4.5 behind the Yankees, but they've won 8 of their last 10. Phillies have been reeling, but they're only 5.5 behind the Mets. They've lost 7-10, so you have two teams kind of in opposite directions. Phillies kind of took a little bit of a setback with Aaron Nola now being out probably till July. He's been bad this year anyway. But you got some good matchups here. Tonight at 6:45, Kevin Gausman against Ranger Suarez. Tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, Bowden Francis and Christopher Sanchez. And then Sunday, Jose Barrios and Zach Wheeler. So I think 3 pretty solid matchups here. Can Toronto go on the road and put together an impressive series? And can the Phillies kind of stop the lull? Because if the Mets play well and the Phillies keep struggling, the Mets could pull away in the East, especially the way they've been playing 6 straight and Jeff McNeil's getting hot, as well as Juan Soto. And number 1, it's Giants-Dodgers. It's got to be. We talked about it all week here on the network. Dodgers are 1 game ahead of the Giants. Giants trying to come back after that setback, and that should have swept Colorado. It did not happen. Good matchup on tonight. It will be Logan Webb and Yamamoto. So 2 basically aces going against each other. Tomorrow it is Landon Rope and Clayton Kershaw. That's 10:10 Eastern. Then Sunday Night Baseball, it is Harrison against Dustin May. Dodgers have gotten by what we've mentioned throughout the last couple weeks, glue and duct tape with their rotation. Giants have been kind of the same way. But we'll see if Willy Adames, who's starting to get hot in Colorado, keeps that going. So that's something to monitor. That's your 5 series. Let me know in the comments what you think is your favorite series this weekend. Kind of your bold prediction for the weekend. Again, we're about a month away from the All-Star game. It's been kind of crazy how fast this season has gone. Be sure to tune in to the Bullpen Bulletin every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern here on IE Sports Radio, where we chat about all the latest in baseball, including College World Series. Out in Omaha, Coastal Carolina earlier today, a 7-4 win over Arizona. They have now won 24 straight games. The Chanticleers could maybe make that bold run. They've won it before in 2016. Can they duplicate that here? They've got a shot. They've got decent pitching. Bonine's been great behind the plate for them. Blake Barthel had a good, solid 3-hit performance today. And Arizona, they've got solid hitting, especially Summerhill and Mason White at the top of the lineup. But Coastal showed some good grit. 3 runs in the 8th inning after being down 4-3 midway through the game. So the Chanticleers go to the winner's bracket. They will play the winner of Louisville, Oregon State tonight. If you caught my short over on X at BP_Bulletin_IESR. It's going to be a fun matchup between Louisville and Oregon State tonight because Louisville, this team likes to play small ball. Oregon State, more of a home run hitting team. They lost the first game in the Corvallis Regional and steamrolled through it. And then lost. They had to come back against Florida State to win game 1 of the Supers at home. Lost game 2 to Jamie Arnold, and then had like 10 runs in the first 3 innings in game 3. So the Beavers, they put up runs, and they put up runs in bunches. That's a big thing for them. So Oregon State, I think, to me, is going to be personally my favorite to win. I know I said North Carolina last week, then they lose to Arizona, so I'll take a second pick, and I'll go with Oregon State. Tomorrow at 2 Eastern, Murray State looks to shock the world against UCLA. I think they've got a shot. I know Taryn talked about it in the leadoff Thursday show last night. You look at the Racers, they've been going up against a lot of 90-plus mile-an-hour pitching. And think about the road they've taken to get here. Playing two ACC teams in Georgia Tech and Duke, and then playing Ole Miss in the SEC. They score runs. I was watching game 2 of their Super against Duke. They scored 19 runs. Like their team's going to hit. Their team doesn't have a lot of pitchers that throw gas, but they have great control. And if you just keep having guys that are maybe deceptive and have that one signature pitch that isn't a 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball, that's going to go a long way in seeing this team be successful. Maybe they don't beat UCLA necessarily, but I think maybe they could find a way to squeak out a win. I don't think they will win the whole thing, but they could win and could benefit from a tough matchup tomorrow. Reason I say that is the 7 o'clock game tomorrow night is LSU and Arkansas. 2 of the top seeds left. Arkansas is the 3 seed, the highest seed left. LSU is at 6. And your pitching matchup right now, I believe, is going to be Zach Root and Caden Anderson. Caden Anderson right now looks to be the favorite to be the number 1 pick in the draft next month. You saw LSU kind of get through their supers against Little Rock because of Anderson's performance. And Root was excellent against Tennessee. Like that was a matchup that he needed to dominate, and he absolutely did. I don't know how both managers will go about this. Will they throw their ace or will they save him for game 2? We'll see. We saw Coastal today throw their starter for 4 innings and then go to the bullpen. It's really interesting how these managers will go about this, but I love this matchup personally. I think it's going to be a fun SEC on SEC dogfight, and I'm going to go with Arkansas to win. I think Root's just a better pitcher right now, and I kind of like the Razorbacks offense more than I like LSU. And LSU has been the team that can lose. We've seen it. I'm going to go to Arkansas, like I said, to get out with this win. So we're going to take our first time out. Here, we're going to hit the pause button here on the remote. And when we come back, we're going to talk some soccer. FIFA Club World Cup starts this weekend. Gold Cup starts this weekend. A lot of fun international soccer going on. And we'll have a special guest on the show as well to talk about it. You're listening to the Primetime Preview here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all those sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, eSports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
And welcome back to the Primetime Preview here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all of the sports. Shout out to Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, looking for those snacks for all your sporting events this weekend. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky is the snack for you, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. And a Seal Deal Wax Seals. If you're looking for something for your invitations for weddings or parties, or just maybe your viewing parties to watch sports, that Seal Deal Wax Seals is the thing for you. And our own Adam Karnik from the opening series asked a great question. Which organization is more inept, the Knicks or the Stars? Both just fired their coach at the beginning of the conference finals. Neither one has a clear succession plan in place. I was very confused with Dallas. I mean, 3 straight conference finals. Pete DeBoer is a pretty good coach. I don't understand why someone would let him go, and you lose to Connor McDavid. What's the shame in that? To me, it's right now, you got to say the Knicks. Because Tibbs, I thought, did a pretty good job. I kind of thought he would get let go, but you think about getting turned down by basically they try to get coaches from every other team, and every other team that said, no, you're not interviewing our coach. And I feel like if Johnny Bryant was going to be the guy, they were going to be that from now. It reminds me, if you're going to go from a New York angle, of when the Yankees got rid of Joe Girardi after Game 7 in 17, hired Aaron Boone. I'm trying to find the Nick equivalent to Aaron Boone. I haven't been able to find that yet. It sounded like making a change for change's sake. I just didn't get it. Especially if Indiana goes on to win the finals. It's not really a great look, I think, for the Knicks right now, but we'll see if Leon Rose has a plan. But the plan right now is to talk some soccer. And we have a really fun international event going on this weekend, FIFA Club World Cup. And joining us to talk some FIFA Club World Cup is the host of Shin Pads and Shenanigans every Saturday here on IE Sports Radio. Our good old friend Jess is in the house. Jess, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing great. So let's talk about this event. And to me, I'm one with soccer where I love international events and I love all these great things. FIFA Club World Cup in the U.S., being that we're just exactly 1 year away from the actual World Cup getting underway. What kind of buzz have you seen around this event? And do you think it's going to bring more eyeballs to the screen over the next few weeks?
I definitely think it's going to be something that's going to bring a whole lot more eyes to the MLS. So there might be more interest in the MLS. Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff about it. Personally, I don't really know how far the MLS teams are going to go. But there's also been a lot of talk about compensation for the MLS players that are participating, because there's a whole financial thing that other teams get more money, and it's a big thing for that. So it's going to be interesting to watch, and the first match is tomorrow night with Inter Miami. So that's going to be interesting to watch them face off against an Egyptian team. So that'll be exciting to watch.
Especially seeing Messi get into play when he starts a tournament at Hard Rock, it's going to be exciting. Leading to the MLS, though, my question would be regarding that. You have all these European teams or international teams that are kind of in their off season. You've got an MLS team that's kind of underway, getting in the flow. Now, they'll play more games than they would a normal week. But does that give Seattle, LAFC, and Miami some kind of advantage that their players are more in shape as opposed to the international teams, kind of like a PSG or some of teams like that have gone all year and haven't really gotten a rest at all?
I don't think it gives them an advantage because they haven't had that time to rest, and this is kind of structured a little bit more in the way of European football because they're playing every 4 days. So, and MLS is not exactly used to that type of rigorous schedule. It's a lot more tailored to the European, the way their structure is. So I don't think it's going to be a big advantage for the MLS teams. No.
So as we look ahead to this weekend, you mentioned Miami coming up this tomorrow at 8 o'clock against Al Ahly from the Egyptian side, and a great slate Sunday, Bayern Munich against Auckland at noon, PSG and Atletico at 3 Eastern, Palmeiras and FC Porto, that's right here where I am in MetLife, 6 o'clock on Sunday, and then the nightcap, Botafogo against the Seattle Sounders We can leave this. We can throw this into Monday as well because Adam will come on right after Chelsea and LAFC and Boca and Benfica at 6 Eastern. What matchup are you looking forward to over the course of the next couple days?
I'm definitely looking forward to the LAFC Chelsea game. But really, I'm looking forward to seeing how the MLS teams match up against teams from other countries to see how, because I definitely think with this competition, the depth of each of the teams is going to be tested.
As you mentioned, Miami taking place tomorrow, Seattle on Sunday. For me, when you look at it, to me the best match of the week, and it's a matchup we don't get that often, which I was kind of surprised, is PSG against Atletico. You have the European champions and Atletico, who's usually a very competent team in La Liga. These two clubs have played twice since 2018, which you would think in Champions League they would play a lot more. Last win was Atletico 2-1 in November of 2024. What is your take on this matchup with two of the teams that are probably favored out of that group to play kind of its equivalent of a Champions League quarterfinal in a group stage match?
I think it's going to be an intense match. The competition is definitely going to be there, and there may or may not be a couple fights depending on the heat level right there.
With that game being in the Rose Bowl, that is probably, to me, that's probably great soccer atmosphere right there to get that in the Rose Bowl in front of that many crazy fans, which you're going to get. That alone is going to create some drama in itself.
And
I know it's a
being in
little
the
bit too
fact that
early
it's
because
in
we haven't started group
SoCal,
play yet,
since
but
it's going to be
who is going to be your favorite to move on and win this tournament?
To win the whole thing? I mean, I've got teams that I would prefer, but really, when it comes to football, anything can happen. So I just don't know right now since we haven't really even seen the first match yet. But it's going to definitely be interesting to see.
Before we let you go, Jess, the other big international event kicking on this week, the CONCACAF Gold Cup. And to me, I'm a little bit down on the Gold Cup because if you watch the U.S. this past couple of days against international competition, losing to Turkey and then getting the doors blown off them by Switzerland, and then plus here and they're not going to really send their top guys. Pulisic's not playing, and you got the whole rift between him and Landon Donovan about should he play, should he not play. What's your excitement level for the Gold Cup, and how concerned are you that how bad the U.S. has looked under Pochettino, who was supposed to change things, instead it makes people kind of wish Berhalter was back?
I don't really know about. I haven't really looked too much into that side of things. I've been kind of focusing a little bit more on the Club World Cup, but I mean, they've not been playing that great, so I don't know how far the U.S. is going to make it in the Gold Cup. And that's a whole nother beast right there. But we could have some dark horses in there, though.
Yeah, you do. I mean, Canada's been pretty good. Mexico always solid. Panama's been great the last Gold Cup. Jamaica's been good. I guess you have the strong CONCACAF sides that have been pretty good in these last few events. It's just, to me, when you would have, especially you have international events going against the Gold Cup, you're right, kind of FIFA Club World Cup gets the better spotlight, especially when all these Gold Cup sides aren't sending top players. And I think, to me, that's kind of crazy, especially a year out from the World Cup. Get your guys some international experience. Get your guys a title that you can kind of build off of. I'm just confused by that, but we'll see how the strategy goes. But again, tune in every Saturday to Shin Pads and Shenanigans. Jess has got you covered. She's going to get you set for some more FIFA Club World Cup, MLS, NWSL, and all things going on in the world of soccer. Jess, thanks for hopping on with us.
Yeah, no problem.
So be sure again every Saturday, Jess gets you covered, Shin Pads and Shenanigans, some good stuff going on over there. And to me, I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I'm into the World Cup and things like that. So Club World Cup is something I'm encouraged to see and check out and see how these top European sides do, especially looking at the landscape of the sport, especially how it's grown here. I'm interested to see how the matches do at MetLife Stadium. Of course, MetLife will be the home to the final a year from next month, which I think it'll be interesting to see also how these venues do with World Cup type crowds. What kind of crowds we even get at these events will be interesting, and a good test for kind of like the fan fest and things like that. So be sure to check out FIFA World Cup Club World Cup starting tomorrow with Inter Miami and Messi. Let's go to golf. The U.S. Open underway in Oakmont, Pennsylvania, and it has been an absolute brutal test for the top players in the world. But it has stopped one player, and that's Sam Burns. Sam Burns never won a major, shot a 7 under 65. That's the third best round in Oakmont in the course's history. And right now he's got a one-shot lead on JJ Spawn, who was the first round leader. He was in a close match with Rory at the Players, went to a playoff. He's one shot back. Victor Hovland, who another great player, hasn't won a major, is 2 shots back. Adam Scott and Ben Griffin are 3 back. If you want to look for kind of your stars, Brooks Koepka's 2 over. He's 5 off the lead. Scotty Scheffler, believe it or not, is +4. But with 7 shots back, all Scheffler's got to do is put up like a 68. And he's back in it because this course, if you haven't seen any of it, tune in to NBC this weekend. It's going to be an absolute fun finish because the U.S. Open humbles all these top players. In a sense, it makes 2 under look like the winning score. And that's why Burns, who went out this morning, shot 7 under, had it at 3 under. Now he's going to be the solo leader, it looks like, going into the weekend, which I don't think he expected. So he's a player, and it's real because Rory has been struggling to make the cut. I think right now the cut is around +6. Rory's at +7 with 2 holes to go. So Rory might not even play the weekend. Patrick Reed probably won't play the weekend. Clark won't play the weekend. Matt Fitzpatrick won't play the weekend. So you're getting some top guys that are just either not in contention or missing the cut, like Xander Schauffele's 4 over. And that to me is interesting how it rates on NBC if you're going to have Ben Griffin, Victor Perez, Sam Stevens, maybe Jason Day or Terrell Hatton make a run. That's going to be interesting to see how this event actually draws. I think Burns should be the favorite. Let's remember last week in Canada, he went to a 4th playoff hole with Ryan Fox, ended up losing. But Burns is one of the better putters on tour. And to me, you've got to be a great putter when you have to worry about hitting the ball in the rough at the U.S. Open because you have to be able to keep double bogeys from getting on the scorecard. Burns does a good job of that. I would probably say Hovland would be my 2nd favorite. 3rd to be Adam Scott. He always seems to be consistent in majors. He has a major tournament on his resume with the Masters in the past. And my 4th one would be Ben Griffin. You might ask, so Ricky, who's Ben Griffin? He's a 29-year-old player from North Carolina. And Ben Griffin has been one of the more solid players on tour this season. He got a win at the Charles Schwab back in late May. He finished 2nd to Scotty Scheffler at the Memorial a couple weeks ago. It was Jack's tournament. Had a tied 4th at the Cognizant Classic back in March. Tied 7th earlier in the season, January. So he put up a lot of good performances. And he's a player right now is tied for 5th at even par. And he's played in the groups of some of these top guys. Maybe not at majors, but he's at least played with some top guys in the PGA Tour, and that is going to make for some interesting drama this weekend. So let me know in the chat who you think will win the U.S. Open. But to me, that'll be my pick. Will actually be I'm gonna go Sam Burns. I think he holds on and gets his first major at one of the toughest courses in golf. So before we go to our final commercial break, we'll talk WNBA. And the big matchup of the weekend is Saturday, 3 Eastern on ABC, and that is the Fever against the Liberty. And the big news for Indiana, Caitlin Clark will be back in the lineup. She's missed the last 3 weeks with a quad injury. Liberty are the only undefeated team left in WNBA, but they've taken some hits. Jonquil Jones has been injured the last couple of games. Leona Phoebus has had her contract suspended because she's going to play overseas, I think in Euroball. That's a big loss. I know the Liberty have got depth. Kennedy Burke's a good player. She's the favorite for 6th player of the year right now, even though we're only 10 games in the year. But you think about the leadership Sabrina Nescu has shown. Brianna Stewart's been great. And the Liberty just have a good team going and a good mission going, especially winning a title last year. They really haven't rested on that. But these two teams played a really close game, the third game of the year. And Stephanie White, fifth in comment, I think it was last week, saying that the people that they practice with have to kind of be more physical with the team. So we'll see if Indiana comes out with more aggressiveness tomorrow. The Liberty aren't going to go undefeated. And I think this is kind of a stretch where you're kind of catching Liberty at the right time as Sandy Brundell maybe tries some different things out with her bench. We've seen Isabella Harrison play well. We've seen Rebecca Gardner play well. But I think this is the game Indiana shows up for. I think they find a way to make the Liberty no longer be undefeated. Minnesota had their undefeated streak end earlier this week. And the other game to watch this week is Sunday. That's at 6 o'clock. It'll be the Mercury against the Aces. Now, when you look at this matchup, the Mercury are 7-4, while the Aces are at 4-4. And we talked about this last week. You got only 5 teams in WNBA right now with a winning record. Mercury are playing some good basketball. Despite losing to the Lynx couple weeks ago, they've won 3 of their last, split the last 2 of the last 4. They lost to Seattle on Saturday. They beat the Wings on Wednesday, but everybody's beating the Wings, so no surprise there. And I think this could be a fun matchup. Vegas, I think, could use a big win here. Asia Wilson is out for this game, though, so that's going to be a big thing for Vegas. But Becky Hammond's got to try to figure some things out because I think it's more important for Vegas to get healthy toward the end of the season as opposed to the beginning of the season. So this is more, I think, a litmus test for Phoenix. Can they continue to win, especially on the road, and finally get that W? Back, wrap up the show with some racing. We'll talk UFL title game and why one player on DC could make huge difference with their running attack. And we'll talk the best games in NWSL and MLS to come this weekend. You're listening to the Primetime Preview on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all those sports. We'll wrap up our Primetime Preview.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Primetime Preview here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K here with you, setting the table, getting you the TV guide to your sports weekend. Again, send me here in the comments, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, what are the sporting events you're looking forward to the most this weekend? As we are in the Father's Day weekend, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, my dad especially. Hopefully he's going to tune into some great sports this week. As we set our grab bag final segment of some other sports to watch, we have a football title game. It's always good in June to have that. It's the UFL title game. Michigan against DC. That's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC. These two teams met in week 6. Michigan, the Panthers, got the win 38-14. They have an MVP kind of quarterback in Bryce Perkins, who's named the MVP earlier today on SportsCenter. But I still think DC's got a shot in this game. And the reason being, you look at when you want to play a team like Michigan who can put up points, you got to run the ball and play defense. And while DC's got a quarterback in Jordan Ta'amu that's interesting to watch, it's going to be Deion Jackson. He's the big key for the defenders here. In his last 5 games, he's got 5 touchdowns. And he gets about 10 carries for around like 80 yards a game. If he can do that, then DC's got a good shot to maintain possession, keep time of possession in their favor. And they've got a pretty good chance to win. So this game, I think, will be a lot more closer than the 38-14 score that it was in week 6. It's a different DC team. I think they've got some good things rolling, especially when you look at the way they dominated St. Louis on the road in the championship game last week. That's some good momentum to go into in this type of environment. So let's talk racing. Start in Formula 1, the Canadian Grand Prix. And Max Verstappen's in the spotlight, and it's usually Max Verstappen in the spotlight for winning. Instead, Max Verstappen's in the spotlight because if he does something stupid this week on the track, he could get a 1 race ban between all of the crazy things he's done in terms of causing accidents, things like that. So Verstappen's got to kind of be a little bit more careful behind the wheel, but he's a guy that likes to drive with a little bit of edge. That's why he's won a lot, but that can kind of come back to bite you in the end. McLaren's been the team to watch. They've been absolutely dominant this year. Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, they've been kind of dominating the podium. But keep an eye on George Russell. He won the pole last year in this event, so maybe he has a chance to pull off a surprise north of the border at Canada this week and maybe disrupt this McLaren dynasty reign that's going on in the sport this year. Speaking of dynasty in motor racing, IndyCar in Illinois this week. Joseph Newgarden and Scott Dixon continue to roll. They have won the last 6 races combined. So does that run end? Well, I'll give you 2 guys that maybe could do that in Illinois this week. Scott McLaughlin has a couple victories this year, but he's also been one of the more consistent drivers in IndyCar. He's got 11 top 5s in his last 13 starts. So does he find a way to make an impact this week? And David Malukas, the number 4 driver, he has had consistent finishes 2 of the last 3 years at Illinois. He always seems to be on top of, or at least in contention to win. Maybe he kind of slips in there and gets in the winner's circle this week. So that's going to be a fun one to watch Sunday night. And then NASCAR is in Mexico for the Viva 250. And what I found interesting today, Denny Hamlin, who of course has been in a good place right now, is not racing in this event, and he gets to retain his playoff points. Especially that's very interesting because when you think about NASCAR going international and kind of the incentive to grow the sport, and your top driver doesn't go, but your top driver gets to keep his points, it's a little bit interesting. This is a road course, so when you watch road courses, you want top road course drivers you're going to look at as your picks to win. So I'm going to go Chris Boucher is going to be one I look at this week. He's been one of the more consistent road course drivers in NASCAR, always seems to be around the top 10 in these events. I think he could be a guy that sneaks in there. When you think about, we talked about Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell and all these, Joey Logano and these top NASCAR drivers. But Chris Boucher, I think, is going to have a good opportunity to win this week in Mexico. But should be fun at the Viva 250. We've seen the PGA Tour go to Mexico and having good success. Maybe NASCAR will have that same success going to Mexico this week. And then finally for racing, it's one of the great spectacles in racing. No, it's not the Daytona 500. It's the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That's a fun one. Starts tomorrow. Cadillac is on the pole. That doesn't mean Cadillac's going to win, though, because you think about some of these other top brands, maybe they're not going to show their best in qualifying because it's such a long race. But you think about the Toyotas, the Porsches, all these things, they're going to have their great runs in this event. It's a fun one to watch. You definitely learn a lot more about racing when you do. So sure to watch that and tune in every Monday to the Extra Mile. Daryl does a really good job, along with Jen, in breaking down all the stuff going on in racing. So they will have you recapping all the great stuff going on in racing this week. Adam also does a good job on the opening series, kind of recapping the weekend that was in racing. So to me, Mom's definitely number one. But I'm looking forward to seeing, again, how NASCAR does internationally. I think that's going to be a really fun there in Mexico. To the other soccer leagues, NWSL. So even despite FIFA Club World Cup, the U.S. leagues still go on, which is interesting. The matchup for me to watch this week in the NWSL, obviously when Kansas City's playing, they're in the spotlight at 9-0-2. They're taking on Racing Louisville. Louisville's 5-2-4, and they're coming off a good win, 3-2 over Utah last week. Sarah Weber getting a goal in the 85th minute to get a win in that one for Louisville. And Louisville right now is sixth in the NWSL, 17 points, tied for fifth with Seattle. So you're getting two of the top 6 teams going against each other. That's going to create for some good matchups there. Can somebody finally beat KC? Gotham had a chance, but there was every time Gotham seemed to score Saturday, they got goals taken off the board. Does that change in this match? And can Louisville steal points on the road in KC? It's going to be really tough for them to do that. If you're looking for stuff to watch tonight, Gotham is in Utah to take on the Royals. That's a big one for both those teams in terms of playoff contention. San Diego is at Houston, and Orlando is at Bay City. BFC, that's a 10 p.m. kick on Prime Video. Houston, San Diego is 8 o'clock on Paramount Plus. Utah, Gotham at 9:30 on NWSL Plus. And then Sunday is a standalone game, Portland Thorns and Washington. That's another good matchup. Washington is third, and Portland is seventh in NWSL. So good matchups there. And then in MLS, it is Minnesota taking on San Diego. That's going to be the matchup I look forward to this weekend. That is a Saturday game, 8:30 on Season Pass, MLS Season Pass, Apple TV. This is a good matchup here because you look at the Western Conference. San Diego is second with 30. The two teams actually both have 30 points. So this is going to be interesting, but especially when you look at San Diego coming off of a 2-0 win. They've had some time off. They haven't played since May 31st. So how do they handle that? We shall see. Minnesota, meanwhile, is coming off a good win against Seattle, 3-2. They had all 3 goals in the second half and all 3 goals in the span of 10 minutes. Minnesota United, the Loons, playing some good soccer right now. Now, it's going to be a tough one going into hosting San Diego, but I think they've got a good chance to get a win this one. Right now, Minnesota, according to ESPN, bet plus 105 on the money line. You do have some action going on tonight. One game that's on FS1 at 10:30, Portland hosting San Jose. In that one, then a loaded slate on Saturday. Columbus at Vancouver is another interesting match because Columbus has been struggling, but Vancouver, of course, coming off that CONCACAF Champions Cup loss. That should be an interesting matchup as well. I think Salt Lake DC United could be interesting, but that's your slate in MLS this week. So as we wrap up this episode, I'll give you my let's go top 3 events to watch this week in the world of sports. We'll call it Ricky's top picks in terms of stuff to watch this week. And number 3 is going to be the NBA Finals tonight. I think it's going to be a real interesting game, as I mentioned before. Thunder and Pacers, strong game. We'll see who comes out on top. But again, when you look at this game 4, can OKC respond on the road, even this series? Or if Indiana wins, gets up 3-1, I think with the way this series has gone, it's going to be really tough to win all 3 games if you're Oklahoma City. So Indiana could get a real stranglehold in this series with a win tonight. Number 2, I'm going to go with the U.S. Open. To me, when it's a tradition, not going to say tradition like any other because that's the Masters, but it's a Father's Day tradition to watch the U.S. Open and to have it at one of the toughest courses in golf in Oakmont. Sam Burns is playing well. It's not going to be your traditional leaderboard unless you see a Shoffley, a Scheffler, a Koepka, a John Rahm start to go low tomorrow and really put themselves in front. As we give you the latest update on that leaderboard, it's Sam Burns still by 1 over JJ Spawn. Hovland's 2 back, but not a lot of big names in the mix. And that is going to create for a real fun story of who kind of emerges as that player that can come out of nowhere. We've seen it in majors recently when it's not Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy. It's been somebody coming out of the blue, or Xander Schauffele. Been somebody that kind of creates a name for themselves over the 4 days. Maybe that's Sam Burns. We're going to see. But to me, U.S. Open is always in the microscope, at least this weekend. And number 1 is the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 5, Saturday night, Panthers-Oilers. A lot of goals in this series, a lot of drama in this series, a lot of comebacks, a lot of weird, crazy things going on between these two teams, Florida and Edmonton. And just the rivalry, the fact that you have this matchup in back-to-back Stanley Cups. These teams are familiar with each other. They don't like each other. And we've seen dramatic swings in these games where even if somebody gets up 2 goals or 3 goals, it's not going to matter. You shouldn't turn off the TV because it doesn't mean the game's over. And when you can have that trend happen in the sport, it makes for must-watch TV. So to me, you're going number 3, NBA Finals, number 2, U.S. Open, and number 1, the Stanley Cup Finals. So that is our show for this week. Hopefully we were able to set the TV guide for you for some awesome action this week in the world of sports. I think this is going to be fun this week, and we talked about those things, but also the Club Cup, as I mentioned, international environment. Can the U.S. teams, as just mentioned, whether it be Miami, LAFC, or Seattle, kind of make a statement on this stage? I kind of disagree. I still think the MLS has the advantage of being in season, while these other teams haven't really gotten a chance to have an off season. The thing about PSG just won Champions League, and now they have to play it. They haven't said about it through compensation. We'll see how that works on the MLS to make a statement on the international stage, or it just maybe it does, like the USA Soccer has been with the Gold Cup this week. Good series in baseball, as I keep mentioning, we're only one play from the All-Star game. Teams start to kind of separate from you have Giants-Dodgers going on this weekend. That always creates for some fun going on in the sport. And a good matchup tonight with Logan Webb and Yamamoto. It's going to be a good one. Tonight, Yankees Red Sox, of course, always bring some drama to the table. Somebody tried to go after Hunter Dodge. The Yankees actually hit Hunter Dodge. They actually get some pitches. The Yankee bullpen has been really a struggle of this week. There's some great racing going on. We got, again, Formula 1 in Canada, IndyCar in Illinois, NASCAR in Mexico, the College World Series. Again, speaking of that in Omaha, we've got some unconventional College World Series. Coastal Carolina wins 24 straight games. They dare to become a national storyline, which they may be playing. The Racers in Murray State can make their Cinderella run. So, hope you all tuned in, enjoyed the show, and next week on Monday, Adam Karnik will get you a recap doing all these events with the opening series. I will see you back here next week to get you set for the weekend. Larry B is one of the guys who created the written case on a great rest of the weekend. Happy Father's Day. And until next time, see you later, everybody.